So the cost of living in America, and quite frankly, who am I kidding, all across the globe keeps on getting worse and worse, and people are feeling it and they're struggling, and we have to break it down in this video. So guys, make sure to subscribe and let's get into it.
Every time I think about or trying to move out my parents' house, the cost of living just get higher and higher. Like, insurance goes up, gas goes up, not to mention the fact that you got to make 3 times the rent of wherever you live at, which is kind of insane because the average person my age ain't even making what I'm making. Not to mention the fact that I check my pay stubs all the time. I'm not making as nearly as what I would make if they ain't take all them fucking taxes out of my checks every 2 weeks. Like, and I just been sitting here thinking, like, cause with me personally, when I moved out, I always wanted to move out by myself or with a significant other. And now I'm starting to realize when people move out, they get roommates.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's tough these days, especially as somebody that's young in your early 20s, to move out on your own. It's very hard. I feel like you have to be in the top 5-10% of earners for your age. Honestly, I don't even know the exact statistic, but it feels like you have to make a lot of money in your early 20s to move out on your own. Either you're going to have roommates, which, let's be honest, how many people want a bunch of roommates in their early 20s, mid-20s? Probably not many people, right? So you're going to have roommates, which is not ideal. And yeah, I feel for everybody now that's in their early 20s, just getting started out in life. The cost of living right now is going through the roof, and it's very difficult to move out on your own unless you want to live in a very dangerous area where, you know, rent is cheap. You know, it's tough these days, guys, especially if you're young. And he said it, you have to make 3 times your rent pretty much. So if rent is $1,500, that's $4,500 a month. If rent is $2,000, that's $6,000 a month. And a lot of people that are 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, they don't make that much money. Heck, a lot of people in their 30s and 40s don't even make $5,000 to $6,000 to $7,000 a month, right?
Can somebody explain to me in crayon eating terms why I make over 3 times the federal minimum wage and I cannot afford to live? And I do not want to hear the pull yourself up from your bootstraps, work 90 hours a week. That's not the goal, guys. That's not. That should not be our standard. I am so fucking tired of people being complacent with this uniparty, both of them fucking us over. When my parents were my age, they both made less than half of what I make, and they lived alone. I cannot afford to live anywhere alone. A 1-bedroom apartment, $1,800. 2-bedroom apartment, $2,200. Who the fuck can afford that? It is embarrassing to come out and say that it is a struggle to survive right now, but I know so many people are struggling.
Yeah, a lot of people are struggling, guys, and don't even get me started on, you know, the boomers out there that say, oh, you got to just work more, you got to do this, you got to do that. The reality is our circumstances now are a lot different. They're worse, let's be honest, financially speaking, than they were for their generation, you know, 50 years ago, whatever it was. So it's way more difficult. I mean, he said it himself. His parents were making less money than he is, and they were able to do a lot more with that money. They were able to live on their own. And to be honest, another big problem is, yes, inflation's bad, cost of living going up is bad, but wages have not gone up nearly as fast as inflation, as the cost of living, right? Wages across the board. Sure, maybe in certain professions they've gone up. But across the board, man, people are not making as much money as they were relative to the cost of living, and it's showing.
I don't care if you're rich or you're poor. I don't care if you have 5 kids or no kids. I don't care how you vote. I don't care where you live. You should be able to at least admit that the prices right now are insane. You should be able to admit that going to the grocery store right now is depressing. You should be able to admit that a rent is insane. Buying a home right now, prices are insane. You should be able to admit that. It shouldn't matter your current state in life. It shouldn't matter how you vote. You should be able to just admit, you know what? It sucks that right now to buy a decent 12-pack of toilet paper that doesn't scrape my ass when I wipe cost $16. You should be able to admit that buying a gallon of milk cost almost $4, and then that sucks. That's not ideal. These aren't crazy thoughts that people have. These aren't just thoughts that people have that are in debt up to their eyeballs, that are struggling. These aren't thoughts because then don't have kids. Anyone, it doesn't matter who you are, or how many kids you have, or how much money you make, or where you live, or how you vote. You should be able to admit that the prices right now aren't fair and that something should change. And if you can't admit that, then you're the problem. And for anyone that's like, quit bitching, no one cares, you might as well block me, because I'm not going to quit bitching, and clearly some people care because a lot of people follow me. So bye.
I totally agree with her, man. I totally agree with her. People in America especially, they have to unite on this. They have to, right? Whether you're in the upper class, middle class, lower class, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, independent, whatever it is, it doesn't matter, right? Your race, your ethnicity, your this, your that. We should all unite on this because it's affecting everybody. The prices going up, the cost of living going up affects everybody, no matter what class you're in, whatever, you know what I mean, right? So yeah, it's something that is a struggle for a lot of people. Sure, if you make more money, if you make a bunch of money, cost of living going up doesn't affect you like it affects somebody else out there that doesn't make much money, obviously, but it's still a problem across the board. It is still a problem across the board, and I feel for her. Like, I feel for a lot of Americans these days, again, that are struggling with basic necessities, putting food on the table, keeping the lights on, having a place to live. It's tough out there. So I don't know how accurate this next clip is. It's actually comparing prices from 2018 to 2024, but it's still interesting nonetheless to look at. So take a look at this.
Prices from 2018 compared to 2024. The average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in 2018 was $900 a month. In 2024, it was $1,500. A house on average was $375,000 in 2018 compared to a whopping $515,000 in 2024. The average gas prices was $2.50 in 2018 compared to $4 a gallon in 2024. A gallon of milk was $2.90 in 2018 compared to $4.50 a gallon in 2024. A Big Mac meal was $6.50 in 2018 compared to a high $11 in 2024. The average electricity bill was $100 a month in 2018 compared to $150 a month in 2024. A new car on average was $30,000 in 2018. In 2024, a new car is $45,000 on average. A loaf of bread was only $1.28 in 2018. Now a loaf of bread is twice that much. A box of cereal was only $3 in 2018. Now a small box is $5 in 2024. Oh, how prices have changed in such little time.
That's crazy, guys. And what gets me the most is the cereal. You guys saw it was $3 a box in 2018. Now it's $5. Guys, some places I've been, I've literally seen cereal $6 to $7, man. You know, the not the family size box either. I'm talking the regular size box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, for example, or Reese's, which, by the way, those two are my favorite. The best two cereals by far. I'll die on that hill, guys. Reese's Puffs, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, by far. But man, $6, $7 a box in some places. That is just unbelievable. And yeah, prices have sure gone up, man.
I just got my new lease agreement because my lease ends next month and freaking out a little bit. Every single year, my rent has gone up by $100. I live by myself. I pay the entirety of the rent on my own. My new rent starting next month is $1,200. $1,200. For one, I don't know how I've even been paying $1,100 for the past month. I don't know how I've been doing it, but I've been doing it. Barely. To divulge some extra information that I probably should not divulge, I get paid every week. And for 2 weeks, I can't touch my paycheck, not even $1, because those 2 paychecks have to go to rent. I essentially don't have any money for 3 weeks most of the time during the month. And that just repeats month after month after month. So I'm not sure about what we're gonna do going forward.
Yeah, that's rough. I mean, she said she saves essentially 2 weeks of her income just to pay rent, and her rent is not even that high. $1,200 a month is actually pretty good for, I'm assuming, a single bedroom apartment. That's really good. And the fact that she has to save 2 weeks of her income to pay $1,200 a month, that is bad, guys. That's really bad. And like I said earlier in the video, it's harder now than ever to move out on your own, to live on your own, especially if you're strapped for money. If you don't make much money, which goes back to also what I was saying before, wages. Wages have not gone up at all. Well, they've gone up, not at all, but they haven't gone up fast enough, man, to keep up with the cost of living, and it's hurting her, the lady we just saw in that video, and it's hurting a lot of people, man. And she's probably house poor, or I guess rent poor, I guess you can say. Maybe I just came up with a new term there. I made a video on being house poor last week. Go check it out. I'll link it down below, guys, or I'll pin it right here. Either way, but it's obvious way too much of her income goes to her house or to pay her rent, which is never a position you want to be in. So, guys, the cost of living is getting worse. So now's the time to make more money. Try and make more money, because that's the only way that we can combat the cost of living. We can't control what prices are going to be, right? We can't control that, but what we can control is our income. How much money we bring in, how much money we have every month to live. We can control that. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and I'll catch you all in the next video.